Check, check, check. I forget. I'm always talking at the beginning of these things and cussing up a storm because something inevitably goes wrong every time, or something's frustrating, or I'm confused. Not going to do that this time. I'm going to be professional, and I'm going to greet everybody. I'm in a different environment. Unfortunately, the internet in my studio is completely dead, like completely dead. And we got a couple of people coming in already. Okay, so I'm glad I didn't make a fool of myself during the intro. Shout out to everyone that's here with me. Let me pull up the chat. Let me make sure that the chat is working properly. I need to enable the damn chat. Why? Okay, show on stream. Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. There we go. Cool. Hopefully that works. It looked ugly as hell a second ago. Somebody say something in the chat on YouTube. Shout out to everyone on Instagram. We got a lot of people on Instagram. Trey Roscoe was going down. How does my mic sound? Because my mic is kind of far away from me. I'm in an entirely, shout out Will 29. I'm in a very different environment right now. They could not fix my internet, and so here I am. It's frustrating, but here I am on a laptop. Shout out to my parents for having good internet, and so I'm at their spot. Shout out Crash Prez. We just dropped a record called Lip Lock. Go to Crash Prez. Matter of fact, just follow him. He's on Instagram. Otherwise, go to all the streaming services. And you know what I'm saying. No, you aren't talking to yourself. No, I'm not talking to myself. Shout out Sick Beats. This is not my first time going live. This is my first time going live in this environment. So it's been a hell of a 3-week run for me. And I did not forget that everyone was making fun of me last week for looking exhausted. And I was exhausted because I was teaching a summer music camp. And when I calculated, I was doing like 9 hours a day and then coming home and trying to still do all this stuff, make beats, make content, all that. Can't do that to myself again. Hopefully none of you are doing that to yourselves. But if you are, I understand. So this is Production Matters. You can submit your beats at djpayne1.com. Just go to djpayne1.com and submit beats. We have 4 beats that were submitted, and then we also have 4 beats from the Discord. If you want to join the Discord, if there are ever any free slots on this show, and you're a member of my Discord, you will get a free song review guaranteed. You can join that on patreon.com/djpayne1. Or if you don't want to join, you just want to submit beats on djpayne1.com, that's where to do it. Submit on djpayne1.com. So let me grab the music right quick. And we're going to start with, let me check my master sheet. We got Top Shotta, Mark Shotta. So yeah, shout out to Top Shotta, Mark Shotta. The name of the track is, I don't know if there's a name. Let's just get into it. Let's hear what it sounds like.
Top Shotta, Mark Shotta.
Yo, and as always, I'm giving feedback, but you in the chat can give feedback as well. I like to take that into consideration too, because sometimes you can phrase what I'm hearing in better terms than me. So I'll steal your comment and give that as feedback. We actually have the producer in the chat, and he says there are no samples whatsoever. Yeah, I really like the string arrangement. The string sounds great. We've got a lot of good feedback, I think, in the chat. Let me address some of that because I want to gather my thoughts. I think everyone likes the track. Let's see. Yeah, sound is probably going to be a little out of sync from the mic just because I'm running a DSLR, not a DSLR, a mirrorless camera with a USB mic. Normally, it's a different setup. Shout out to Mark. Shout out. I like the track. No samples at all. A lot of people like it. People like the build up. I thought the intro was crazy. I didn't expect that. Tone DeShane says it's dope, but it's crowded. Armin Beats gave it 3 fire emojis, which is a pretty good ratio. What was I going to say? So for me, I wasn't expecting. So when the piano started, I thought, oh man, I didn't love the piano sound design. It just sounded a little too dry, a little too like a stock VST. And then the buildup came where all the chords came in and all the string arrangements started swelling in. I was like, oh wow, this is dope. I thought the bass line sounded great. I liked the fills. I think his challenge is balancing the mix, gain staging, a little bit of sound design, because the beat is dope. All the elements are there. I do agree that the mix is a little intense and chaotic. There are some snares that are louder than the kick. I think the kick's getting lost. If there is a kick, it might just be a sub bass that he's using. In which case, I think for this type of track, you want the kick to come in just to give it punch, because there's not really any low to mid range punch. There's a lot of low end, but it's not punching through in those frequencies. And it also could just be, I think people were expecting a different type of drum selection, not necessarily trap style drum programming, which I didn't expect either, honestly, but I wasn't mad at it. I think the beat has a ton of potential because the musicality is high and the dynamics are dope. Yeah, I think it's going to be a matter of really gain staging. And so my suggestion would be to A/B. A/B the mixes, learn how there's a free spectrum analyzer out there as well. And I forget the name of it. Oh, it's called Span. Voxengo makes it. It's called Span and it's free. So if you A/B a little, if you study gain staging, I think, and you use the Span tool as just a tool to compare spectrum analysis from your track to a track that's properly mixed and very well balanced, then you'll start to learn how to just by second nature gain stage your tracks and gauge, which sounds are in need of pulling back in the mix, moving forward in the mix, changing, EQing, modifying some way. But great effort. I like the track a lot. Thank you for submitting that. We got Marty Ramsey next. The name of the track is The Hit. So this one's got to be a hit. Shout out to Busy Works Beats in the chat. I like that part a lot. I like that instrument. Dope. Shout out to Marty Ramsey. The name of that track is The Hit. Now I'm thinking it's kind of more like a reference to it feels cinematic. It feels kind of like 60s, early 70s soundtrack music. So it's dope. A shout out to Matthew Sanchez. Appreciate you. I think everyone's saying what I'm saying, which is let's start with the concerning part, which is the vocal part. The vocal melody is just not in the same key, and it's throwing everything off. I very rarely say this. Just delete that. Just get rid of it. It doesn't work with it. Everything else is dope. The drum swing is great. I thought the mix was really balanced. The master is nice and loud and crunchy. I had to move my headphones back a little because I can't control the volume independently on the setup that I'm on. And that shit was loud. Usually I have to turn the volume up. So sonically great, technically great. I love the swing of the drums. I love the formatting. There's a lot of space for vocals, especially once you delete that off-key vocal track. And I like how jazzy it was. Everything else works in harmony, even though it's a little jazzy. Some of those chords are a little closed. I like that little beats cannot still be submitted, but you can submit beats for next week. DJPayne1.com, submit. You can I'm sorry, I'm trying to give a review and pay attention to the chat at the same time. The layers of instruments on this track were dope. I think the dynamics could have been stepped up because it really is just the same drums, the same intensity of the drums all the way through the track. There could be some fills, there could be some breakdowns, etc. But I don't know what the intended purpose for this beat is. Is it just to be listened to? Is it to be recorded to? I don't know. That's entirely up to the producer themselves. So Marty, you got to figure that out. But I think it could go in a lot of directions because it's a really solid beat. My only suggestion would be to get rid of the vocals because, granted, there are instances in which something can slide in and out of key a little bit. jazz musicians do it a lot. This just isn't one of those cases. That the vocal sample was incredibly loud, incredibly centered in the mix, and very much out of key. So the dissonance there, I think, was disruptive to the rest of the composition, which was great. So shout out to that beat. Shout out to Marty Ramsey. The next track is by Elite Tracks, Eletetrax. The name of the track is Soar. I can relate to that. I did cardio today. Let's give it a listen. Hmm. Oh, that was it. You know what? I was left wanting a little more because that transition into the boom bap, the jazzy track was super dope. I wanted you to resolve that somehow back into the initial part. This is definitely not a beat for a well, I shouldn't say that. This is definitely a beat that doesn't need a rapper on it or a singer. Scratches would be cool if you could get a DJ. I think initially, yeah, the I love the drum programming in the first part, but I do feel as though the drums were a little bit muddy, and that's I think just a consequence of that break. You could certainly layer some more powerful kicks underneath it and just EQ some of the lows out of that break just to give it more power. When it transitioned though into that kind of second beat, I thought that was unexpected, but I liked it. Those drums were powerful. Those drums were cutting through the mix. And then the brass came in and I was like, "Oh, this is dope." And then right when the brass was building up and it hit my, it captured my attention, then it just stopped. Which I guess is good because it leaves people wanting more, but I wish it had gone back into the part A and balanced itself out and then resolved at the end. But then again, if your intention was to keep us in suspense and to surprise us with an abrupt ending, you absolutely accomplished your goal. But yeah, I mean, it feels like the type of music that I used to listen to, like the DJ Shadow. I mean, not that you have the DJ angle, but you could. It reminds me of those types of songs that I really like listening to. So yeah, I feel like if no one's encouraged you to do this yet, you could create an entire album of tracks like this and just go straight to SoundCloud, go straight to the DSPs, just be your own artist. I think that would be pretty dope. I don't think so. Archi- Archite Architect Architect MRG says sounds like the plugins. Yeah, RJD2 as well. Sounds like the plugins on the first set of drums were muted before bouncing. I don't think so. I think it was just that some break. I love using breaks, but some breaks are just really intensely mid and high range, and there's just no punch. Because miking drums is difficult, and then people who create drums tend to maybe over process them or thin them out to make them sound more vintage, and so they lose their punch. When in reality, all the vintage breaks that we used to sample had a lot of punch. So that's just something that the producer has to deal with. You got to add that punch back in. So shout out to Elite Tracks. Let's go to Zen J Beats. The name of this track is Overseas. I don't think it's quiet. I think mix and master wise, it's a pretty balanced track. Um, to me, I don't think it's quiet. I like the track. I think everybody in here liked the track. I didn't see anybody giving criticism other than Matthew saying it's a touch quiet, which I respectfully disagree with. Uh, yeah, I mean, I don't know. To me, this was one of those beats that just works. All the elements came together. It's a pretty well mixed track, well balanced. There's just a lot of cool stuff going on. Musically speaking, it's musically perfect. There was nothing that was dissonant, nothing like that. Nothing weird stood out. Yeah, I think it was a good beat. This is definitely one of those beats that I would I would imagine needs an artist on, where it's something that you shop to artists or sell online, or whatever the case is. Because there's a lot of space for a vocalist, a lot of space for a vocalist. The one question I have for the producer behind this track, Sanjay, is that part where the vocals come in. Is that a hook? And if it's a hook, it's a 4-bar hook. Do you want a 4-bar hook, or do you want to extend it? And you don't have to, but I find that a lot of producers who sell beats format their beats any type of way because they don't have an artist giving them feedback as they're creating the track. So that would just be my question. How do you picture an artist interpreting your format? And personally, I err on the side of just, maybe this is wrong of me. I err on the side of just formatting everything, 16 measure verses, 8 measure choruses, just to keep it simple. So it's a format that artists are already familiar with, and if they want it changed, then I can always change that. That's my only bit of advice. Otherwise, great beat. Let's get into the Discord beats. So if you are a member of the Discord, you can submit. Just join patreon.com/DJPayne1. It's like someone joined the other day for the year. So it's like under $3 a month. Patreon.com/DJPayne1. We collab on beats. We do all types of stuff. Let's see what I got. Rembrandt. Shout out to Rembrandt. He's a member of the Discord. Let's listen to the track. It's untitled unless 62626 is the actual title. Let's check it out. Dope beat. Shout out to Rembrandt for submitting that. Shout out to all the members of the Discord. We have a couple more from the Discord. Join the Discord. Collab on beats with me. Patreon.com/DJPayne1. The chat got real quiet. I think that beat's super dope. I think it's a well balanced mix. The drums hit hard. I love jazzy samples like that, especially when the piano is a little bit impressionistic, so it's not fully hitting on the grid. If you can make your instrument swing like that, I don't know. There's just something about it. I think the beat's great. Poster 242 agrees with me. They give it 100%. Dynamo says that was nice. Yeah, it's a dope. Rembrandt has some pretty amazing beats. Yeah, I think every element came together. There's space for vocals, but realistically, this is the type of beat that I could see make a lot of lo-fi editorial playlists on the various streaming platforms, on YouTube, etc. So this is another thing that I would encourage producers who make these types of beats to do. Uh, Even if you're trying to license these beats or sell these beats, you can periodically create these extended, like hour-long beat mixes and upload them to SoundCloud or YouTube or all of the above as like a whole album. Search right now. No, it's not Suno. Search right now on YouTube and search for like 1 hour of jazzy hip hop beats, or something like that, and you'll see many examples. And I always encourage people to if something's working, reverse engineer it and adapt it to your own channel. So Rembrandt, something to consider. All of you, something to consider. Those beat compilations. I we're in the era of everybody having AI paranoia, where they're like, that's got to be Suno, that's got to be this, that's got to be that. All right, Hallelujah is the next beat. Who is this? Who submitted this? This is by Pete Jacob. Okay, it's a long ass file name. So shout out to Pete Jacob. I believe I forgot to play his beat last time, so sorry, Pete Jacob. WJ Walker, what's up? I need some clarity from the chat. What are splatty drums? What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Jay Infinity loves the song, but not a fan of the kick. The bass is lit. Yeah, I think this is a really great beat with a lot of potential, especially that hook. I like the hook a lot. I like the filter that he used over the vocals. There's definitely a lot of room. I definitely had I agree, Architect, that if there were more going on with the bass line, if it felt more live, that would be really cool. Because right now he's just playing, whole notes. So every measure is just root note, root note, root note, root note. So having some, but what is splatty? I feel really left out right now. What is splatty? I do not know what that means. Someone explain it. Yeah, if he were breaking out of just the whole note, sustain, bass, every now and then, it would be super dope. I don't think the kick sounds muffled. I think it's actually pretty saturated. It sounds saturated to me. So pretty bright. Some people love those drums. The drums are really powerful. Say what you want about the drums. To me, it's just a personal preference. So I'm not going to nitpick the drums because the mix was solid. The one thing I will say is that the third bass note, I believe, is incorrect. It's either hanging on the second note and it needs to go down a half step, or it's playing something entirely different. And I hear that whenever I hear the bass, especially on the hook. So fix that. Use the transpose trick. Transpose the bass line. But for this type of bass line, you're just going down half steps. So that should make it easy. Sometimes we producers want to play around and like, you know what? I know I'm supposed to go down a half step, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to be a brat. I'm not going to do it. And that it ends up sounding dissonant. So don't be a brat. Oh no. Something happened with the Instagram feed. Instagram just kicked me out. Hold on. Let me get this right. If I can't get it right, I'll get it back right when I do song reviews. Let me go to the next track. This is from Magnus. It's just called 21. Shout out to Magnus. Shout out to everyone in my Discord. You can join at patreon.com/DJPayne1. I post beat collabs all the time, every single week. Matter of fact, I got to post one today. When I'm done with this, I'm going to post one. And then we critique beats, we listen to beats, we sell beats together. Some of the beats sell. Yeah. Join at patreon.com/DJPayne1. If you want to submit a beat, go to DJPayne1.com. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a track, I think, with the intention of being for a vocalist, being for a rapper. So yeah, it's gonna be redundant. And a lot of people are saying it's got character, has a West Coast vibe. J Infinity says it needs to be mixed better. I agree with that. Absolutely. I think the low end is real rumbly. It's real. That's a bad term. It's not helpful. It's muddy. The low end is muddy, and then there's a lot going on. And so the challenge for this type of beat is to clear space so that every instrument exists in its own space where it's audible and powerful enough. Architect doesn't like the weird synth. Okay, so he suggests shorter bass lengths. Yeah, I mean, sure. I think I agree with that because if you have the bass tones that are just full and sustained throughout the entire track, then one, they're sustained throughout the entire track. So anything that any other instrument that has any type of low end on it is going to start fighting with it, and that's when you get that muddy sound. Especially if it remains static in that low sub frequency range. If you bring it up and down and add some movement and play with length, so some of it can be long, some of it can be short. If you play with that in the bass line, you add a lot more energy, you add a lot more dynamics. So I think everyone likes the ideas in this beat. They just want the mixing and the bass programming to improve a little bit, which I agree with. Yeah, I think definitely if that were fixed, this would be a much more effective track. But the ideas are there. Okay, cool. I appreciate you. We ended a little early. This gives me time to prepare for song reviews, which will happen at 6 p.m. CST, 7 p.m. EST, and I will catch you there on all platforms as well. That we have, I believe, a lot more submissions on, like 20 submissions, maybe 20 submissions. That looks about right. Yeah. Okay, and I'm saying, okay, we got 808s. He's in the chat right now. Zalin Verse from last week is here. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. Okay, cool. So I will catch all of you. Oh, we got Afro in here. Yeah, I'll catch all of you then. So another 20 minutes. Shout out to everyone who tuned in. If you want to submit a song, go to djpayne1.com. If you want to submit a beat, go to the same place. And I'll catch you in a few minutes. Peace.